Thank you for tuning in to the Student Organization Summit. Make sure to follow us on social media and check out the many other videos on this channel about working with and advising student organizations. And now, please enjoy your workshop.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Chantea Swinson-Rhoe, Coordinator for Student Clubs and Organizations at North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University. Today, I will be discussing with you about giving your students ownership. A few quick facts about North Carolina A&T State University. We are a public four-year institution under the UNC system. We are a historically Black college and university, or HBCU. We are the largest HBCU in the nation. We are the #1 producer of African American graduates in engineering and agriculture, and top 5 in numerous other disciplines. We have a total enrollment of 12,556 students. We have 160 student organizations. We currently utilize Anthology Engage and Give Pulse as our student organization platforms. A few quick facts about me as your presenter. I was born and raised in North Carolina. I have received my undergraduate degree from the University of North Carolina at Pembroke. I received my graduate degree from the University of North Carolina at Wilmington. I enjoy photography, painting, and cooking. Professionally, I am affiliated with the National Association of Campus Activities, or NACA, along with NASPA, Student Affairs Administrators in Higher Education, and Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. For the past 3 years at North Carolina A&T State University, I have served as the coordinator for student clubs and organizations and the advisor for the Council of Presidents, our student organization council. A part of my numerous job responsibilities, I also oversee 3 budgets, including the Cost of Student Activities Fund, or COSA Fund, for our student organizations. Today, again, I will be talking with you about giving your students ownership. And so a few key takeaways that I want you to have from this conversation is understanding why creating and developing student ownership is important. We will explore various strategies for building student choice and developing independent learning habits. We will discuss some tools and strategies to foster a culture of student ownership within your student organizations or your student organization council as well. So what is student ownership? Well, student ownership is often mistaken for student empowerment, student voice, and student engagement. However, they are not synonyms. Student ownership is the amount of investment learners have in the topics they are learning, the methods they are learning through, and the places where learning happens. As John Spencer says, if we want student buy-in, we need to start with student ownership. I have taken student ownership and I have applied it to student activities for the simple fact I understand that although learning happens in a classroom, students often have to take that learning and connect it with something outside of the classroom. And that is typically our student organizations. And so we want to create the buy-in for our students to have within their student organizations so that they can grow and develop not only the organization, but the longevity of where the organization can go. And the students can have practical skills from their classroom learning and the student organization involvement to utilize as well. Which brings me to my next point of why student ownership is important. Again, it creates and opens new possibilities for everyone involved. Going beyond that engagement and motivation piece, it empowers students with a sense of control, responsibility of their learning, their programs that they're involved in. When the learner is motivated, engaged, and self-directed, it means they can monitor their own progress and they're able to reflect on their learning. In addition, the learner has skills, knowledge, and dispositions to independently direct and design their own learning experiences and is skilled in selecting and using tools, resources, and strategies to support their learning or intended outcomes. So again, we want our students to have the ability to take the things that they're learning inside of the classroom, to utilize it in running their student organizations. And even if their student organizations are not connected to an academic endeavor, we want them to have the skill sets that they need in order to feel like these organizations are truly theirs. What I see now more than ever is that there is typically someone else pulling and running the strings behind a student organization, and it's not actually student led anymore as they used to be. And so we are trying to get back to that. And how we do that is by giving them ownership and encouraging those methods in order for them to feel like it is something they truly can't handle. And so a part of student ownership, or things that others have seen as implications of student ownership, is internal motivation. So students feel compelled towards accomplishing a goal of their own. They have shared learning goals. When they come together, they are able to share their yearly goals or vision plans as a common task to elevate their student organizations. They have identified relevance. So students see and understand the why, the how, and what makes learning matter to them, or again, why they have all come together. They also have demonstrable outcomes. So the learning is evident in their productivity, their programs elevate and excel, their communication gets better, not only between them as an organization, but also with their advisor and with other offices that may be involved with assisting with running organizations on their campus. We also see self-driven applications. So not only do they take the lessons that they learn and they apply it to their student organizations, but they also utilize them in their daily activities, and more frequent. And it's more frequent, and it's very obvious that they're utilizing those skills. Things I have encountered since supporting student ownership here at the campus of North Carolina is that students have more attention slash their focus increases. They have more motivation to be a part of these organizations. Again, their learning experience is enhanced because they are combining their interests and passions with things that help them feel like they are making a difference, and they are making a difference through the programs that they put on here at the university. They have increased decision-making skills. So they make more rapid and quick decisions based on programs and or members, things that need to get done. They have enhanced interactions. So not only between themselves as peers, but also with faculty and staff. They have created some level of self-assessment or reflective learning. They utilize the tools that they are learning in order to either ask questions or gain a different perspective of what can I do to be better, or did you like this? Did you not like this? So they use self-assessment to also look at their programs and the things that they're hosting here as well, in order to create more um, more elevated programming here at the campus, but also to get a sense of if they're on the right track as well. And so having that ownership piece and knowing that this is something I'm guided by doing, this is something I want to do, and then reflecting upon that gives them a sense of responsibility and accountability and empowerment for themselves as leaders. So what can you do to support student ownership at your campus? Be a learning partner. Help your students foster these techniques. Don't just provide them with everything, but walk them through the steps of learning through engaging conversations with them. Interact so that aids in interactive learning, giving them the choices and supporting their decision-making skills. Asking self-guided questions is something that they can do as well. Emphasize growth, not only at the organization level and giving rewards to the organization, but emphasize growth at an individual level. If you are aware of how and who your students and student leaders are, assist with self-discovery. Self-discovery happens at all ages and at any point in time. So students must have a sense of who they are, how they learn, what they want to learn, and why they want to learn what they want to learn in order to truly have self discovery and set those personal goals, not only for themselves as leaders, but also for the organization. Provide support for pursuing their passions. Um, Cross check their interests against, not only their academics, but things that will help kind of alleviate some of that academic pressure outside of the classroom for them as well. Create space for mistakes. I cannot express this one enough. Create space for mistakes. As an advisor for a student organization council, you have to give them room to mess up. And you can't be mad at them for messing up because sometimes it's helpful in learning behavior. Not only learning behavior, but learning different things about yourself. If we know that our students are not strong in something or that they didn't follow a policy or procedure to the full extent, the correct way the first time, then that gives us room to interact with them for correction. But you have to be comfortable with them making mistakes. Listen to their voices. Asking for feedback and opinions is something I do a lot. I always ask for my students' opinions on everything, even the little simplest thing. I ask for their opinion on, like, hey, do you think this is a good idea? Do you think it's smart to move the programming date to this day versus this day? When they feel like they have a buy-in, they are more invested. And so the more that I found that I asked for their opinions, the more that they have started freely sharing them with me and giving me feedback on programs and or thoughts without me not necessarily asking for it as well. Share information. Share information even from your higher ups. Sharing information with students is vital because that helps them make decisions. And so the more that they know, even though sometimes as professionals we have to hold things back from our students, but the more that they know helps inform the decisions that they make, so that they can make group decisions for the body, especially when I consider and I think about my student organization council. It The more information I give them, the more they are able to make informed decisions and decisions that not only affect the masses but help the mass of our student organizations. Establish clear learning objectives. So one thing that we do one thing that I do with my student organization council is I have the president every year establish a vision plan of why you wanted to be the president of this council, where you see this council going. And then I also share with her or him, excuse me, my objectives for the council for the year. And then we work on how we can combine the two vision plans to meet the goals that we want to accomplish throughout the entire academic year. So establishing those learning objectives helps them see where they can take the programming, where they can go, and kind of what doesn't fall within their scope for right now, or something that they shouldn't be focusing on necessarily right now. And we also have, room for accommodation and change, because again, sometimes things come up where you need to change that, but we have a conversation once that self-discovery or personal goals or different things come up. Again, we always are listening to one another to have that conversation of, oh, well, okay, this worked last semester, but right now this may not work. So again, talking through your learning objectives, sharing your common goals, helps them emphasize growth not only within themselves, but within the organization. It creates interactive learning. It assists with an advisor or peer-to-peer relationship as well. And then self-assessment is another good way for supporting student ownership. Self-assess, connecting new skills and ideas to real world problems or real world issues. So oftentimes when I check in with my executive board for my council, I am asking them what they're learning in the classroom and how they can apply it to their current position, or how they can apply it to an organization that they also lead. So for my treasurer, often she's an accounting major currently, and often they are learning new things in situations of how to apply what they're learning in the classroom. So I often ask her, well, what could you be doing differently as a treasurer for this organization? I ask questions like that. And then I ask her, is she willing to share the knowledge that she's currently learning with other peers for organizations who may not have someone who's a treasurer who's also an accounting major. And that gives them a sense of accomplishment as well. So not only connecting stuff that they're currently doing in the classroom and new skills that they're learning, but then also the ability to share that out with others is truly something that I see the students light up about when I'm able to help them make those connections across the board. That is just one example of many. But I always ask them, what are you learning in the classroom that you could apply here today? And vice versa. What have you learned in being in this position that you can apply to the classroom? So if you are creating presentations and presenting to a large mass of body, how is that helping you in the classroom on a different level? Some other tips that I utilize with my students to support their student ownership is we often debrief after our events or programs that they put on. We talk about what went well, what didn't go well, where they could change the program if they wanted to do the program again, what they would change for the next time, and things of that nature. Having those conversations when it's fresh off their mind has always been helpful, and it makes them feel like I am hearing them. I am hearing them, but I can also tell, like I can see it when we have these conversations that I'm listening to what they're saying. I am actively engaged because I also provide feedback as well. I am not one of those advisors who just comes to the event to say that I am there and present. I am actively looking at their event as it's running from top to bottom, and I'm taking notes to see, room for improvement as well. And I don't share my feedback or thoughts until the very end, so that everything that they're feeling is out in the open. And then I can also either affirm or kind of give them a different perspective from what I saw as well. So that has always been helpful in providing and supporting their student ownership. Also, asking thought-provoking or guiding questions truly assist with their voice and their feedback. So giving them leading questions and asking them like, hey, okay, so did you think that was a good idea? And listening to their response is something that I have found that allows them time to think through what they're saying, and to think through what they're doing as it relates to a program, or thinking through a policy, or thinking through something that they are coming up with, or something that they thought about. So the more that I ask them, and I kind of leave it open-ended, the more that they are thinking it through themselves. And they have that chance for true self-discovery and owning what it is that they are either putting on for the students or themselves. So I like this, the in quotation marks, I try to work with and not for my students, because it does create that community of open discussion and dialogue of where we can go from here. So if you feel like you're ready to support student ownership, ask yourself this: what systems or support measures need to be in place to ensure students make good choices? So, what are you doing to make sure that they have good choices in regarding anything, whether it be a program, whatever it shall be? What policies and procedures have you provided them with to make good choices? How ready are your students as a whole and individually for various levels of choice making? Sometimes you can't give it all to your executive board at once. Sometimes it has to be a slow, gradual thing or individual thing. So ask yourself, what various levels of choice making does everyone have to be involved in this process? How can you gradually release responsibility and develop more choice over time versus all at once? So if you have those students who you don't feel like you can give all the freedom to right then in that moment, slowly releasing things um, to them over time, is that something you are able and willing to do? I would love to continue this conversation with you all about sharing the importance of student ownership. So, thank you again for joining me in this presentation today. Please leave your thoughts or comments via the YouTube chat or look at the workshop schedule that will direct you to a Zoom room for a Q&A. But I would love to hear your thoughts, so please leave them. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Student Organization Summit. If you're watching this live, feel free to reference the schedule for the day and use the link in the schedule to access a Q&A room where you can ask questions or chat with the presenters from this workshop. If they didn't list a Q&A link, or you're watching this video after the event, thank you for your interest in the Student Organization Summit.